All right, we're continuing with roots, and this is going to get a little unpleasant. It's not terribly hard if you understand the individual pieces, but it's going to look rather ferocious. And here's what I mean. So we're going to start working with fractions underneath these roots. Now, the key idea is this, that a square root is the same, like a fraction and a square root is the same as if you broke it up into two individual square roots. You're actually allowed to go either way you want. You can go back and forth. So if I have this fraction in here, if it had been able to be reduced, I could reduce it, and then I could split it up. Or I could split it up and then put it back together under one house. It's the same either way. These are the same, and you can go either direction based on how it helps. Now here's the point why this is helpful is if I turn this into a square root on the top and the bottom, well, I know that. That's 3 over 8, and I'm done. So you can split this up into a square root on the top and a square root on the bottom, and you know those individually, so you knew how to do the fraction. Same here. So if I'm breaking that into the square roots, so the square root of 49 over 81 is 7/9. Okay, now we're going to do it again here, but what we're going to find is that just like we saw before, not everything. Oh, actually, I misspoke. What we're going to do first is see if we can simplify. So we can do whatever is useful to us. Let's leave it as a fraction. And these are both divisible by 5. So I'm going to start by dividing 5 out of both of them. See, I just reduced the fraction 45 over 80. They're both divisible by 5, so I just reduced it. Now, why was that helpful to work inside the house is now I've got something simplified that I can turn into two individual square roots, and I get that. Okay, so what can we do here? These are both divisible by 3. So before I break it up, I'm going to divide both by 3, and I'd have a 25 on the top. What would I have on the bottom? 16, I believe. Okay, so I just left it. But now it's been tidied up, reduced. I'm going to split it into 2. And then I know those. It's 5 over 4. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to see. I was trying to find the number you could reduce them by. They're both divisible just by 2. So if I divide 2 into both of these, I'm going to get 49 over 81. I just reduced the fraction. That's all I did. They're both divisible by 2. So the square root. Now I split it because that would now be a useful tool for me. And I get 7/9. Okay, we've got I don't knows now, but we can do the same thing. We've got 6 m's on the top, 4 on the bottom. We could eliminate those. So I've probably talked about this somewhere. I don't know. But if you don't understand what's happening here, if you've got all those m's on the top and all those m's on the bottom, you could just cancel them down. There's a match on the top and the bottom, so I've reduced it. There's 2 m's left on the top. Okay, well, m squared, that'd be m times m, I can bring out a single m. Now, I don't know if I've covered this somewhere else, but what you'll begin to see what happens here is you can subtract the exponents when you're dividing them. So you can slash them down, but 6 minus 4, like I've subtracted those exponents, that gets me m to the second. So if you don't see that or don't remember it, it's just that I had 6 on the top, 4 on the bottom, I canceled them all. But somebody noticed the shortcut, and the shortcut was you could just subtract the exponents. Okay, so I could have 8 A's on the top and 6 on the bottom and slash them all down. But I can tell that what's going to happen is there'll be 2 left, or 8 minus 6 is 2. So now the square root of a to the second, so there's 2 A's in there, I can bring one of them out. Same thing here. I had 14 on the top, 10 on the bottom, there'd be 4 left, or I could just subtract them. Now, just so you're not in case you're having any trouble with this, that means there's 4 of them inside. Partner those up. I could bring out 2, an X for that circle, an X for that circle. Okay, let's see here. All right, so I'm going to just tidy everything up inside of there. Let's see if I can use what they've done. This reduces in here. 3 divides into 48. They reduce down to 16. I do my trick. There's 7 on the top, 3 on the bottom. I'm left, after I reduce that fraction, I get 16p to the 4th. So I just did the numbers just like we've been doing. I did the variables just like we've been doing. It's just that both are in the same problem. Now, 16p to the 4th, if you want to try our method there, if you don't see it, you get 4p squared. All right, the same here. 75 is divisible by 3. So this is going to turn into, I'm dividing the top and the bottom by 3. I get 25. I got 5 x's on the top and 1 on the bottom. I'm going to have 4 left. Now, you can break this down the long way if you want. You'll get the same result. But I see that 5x squared will be my answer. Okay, always pause the video if you want. Dividing 2 into the top, or you can think of it, they're both divisible by 2, so I'm going to get 36. 12 z's on top, 10 on the bottom. I'm going to have 2 left over. Now, so the bottom is getting cleared out. You see what's happening. You can think of it as 1, but we don't need to do that. It's irrelevant. So I've got 36z squared. That's going to be 6z. And you could break 36 down if you didn't know that. Okay, this is just saying what we already said. We're allowed to go vice versa between these, whatever is useful for us. We can do individual or we can do a big group one. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, I don't know how they got to the end of where they're doing. So I already showed you this trick. They're just doing the same thing again, where they're splitting them up. Oh, I know what their point is here. These are not going to simplify. So they've split it up, and that's the best they're going to be able to do. They were able to take the square root of the bottom, but the top doesn't have any matches. So if you did 21, it'd be 3 times 7. You don't have any partners, so that's the best you can do. So we're going to split this up into the square root of 19 over the square root of 49. That's 7 on the bottom, but the top, that's prime. You can't break that down, so that's the best we can do. I'm splitting them up because it's useful to me. Yeah, the top actually can be done part way. So what would happen on the top? So we can bring out a pair. So we got a pair of 2s, so I can bring one out. So I'm going to get 2 square root of 7 over 9. Okay, so more of the same, just getting more complicated. So we can't do anything inside of there to tidy this up. They don't share anything. So we're just going to go ahead and split them up. And once we're split up, we're just working 2 problems. What would you do if you had that? What would you do if you had that problem? So it's more of the same thing, but just we're doing it as 2 individual pieces. First we tidied up the top one, then we tidied up the bottom. We just put them over top of each other. So you'd want to check to see if you can tidy anything up, but they don't share anything. There's no reducing that can go on there. So I'm going to turn it into essentially 2 totally different problems. Now the bottom one is easy. You probably know that one is 7. Now let's break down the top. So we're literally just turning this into 2 of the same thing we've been doing. I can bring out a 2. I can bring out 1p. So I've got 2p coming out. I put the 2 and 3. I don't think we've seen that yet. 2 and 3 are going to go back together to be 6. And all of that over 7. So we're essentially just creating 2 different problems, one over top of the other. So let's try another one. Let's split it up. Pause the video, of course, if you want to do this yourself. The bottom, the square root of 100 is 10. I know that one. Now I'm going to save myself some time and not break this all the way down. I believe the best I can do is that I'm going to be able to pull out. Oh no, this is the one I've seen before. This is 16 times 3, so I can pull out a 4x to the second 3x in there. Now break it all the way down, but I believe you should get this. Oh, you know what? At the very beginning, look what I didn't see. I could have reduced this right off the bat because they were both even, and I should have done that. Now I can still do it at the end. It's not going to change anything. I noticed that 4 over 10 should be, could be reduced to 2 over 5. Now that works. Now you can get there in the end, but it really is helpful to have noticed that at the beginning so that you would have been working with smaller numbers. So I should have tried that. Okay, just more of the same here. Turning this, so I'm checking to see if it reduces, it doesn't. Turning it into two different problems, all the same stuff. So I'm going to do, if I get some of these, I'm going to try to do them in my head instead of breaking them out the long way. But it's really just two problems. We've already seen how to do this. We've already seen how to do this. Just put them over top of each other. Okay, nothing I can reduce here. So I'm going to turn this into two individual problems. Okay, you can make 6 ends if you want to, but I see that's going to be into the third. No, I don't think I'm right on that. Hold on. Yeah, the best you can do is pull out a... Yeah, okay. That's 16 times 5. But so anyway, so I've got all of these under here. Hold on. I'm going to do this again because I'm not sure I showed you right. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. And I've got 3 m's. So lasso those up. I can bring out a 2. I can bring out a 2. That's 4. I can bring out an m. Now what's left inside is a 5 and an m. On the bottom I add 6 n's so I could bring out 3 of them. Okay, nothing tidies up on the inside, so we're going to turn this into two different problems. Okay, I think I see where the 54 is going, but I'm going to go ahead and break this down. Okay, so it's 2 times 3 times 3 times 3, and then there's 7 u's in there. I don't want to write all those out. V to the 8th. Okay, partner those up. A pair of 3's can bring one out. I've got 7 u's. I'd be able to bring out 3 of them. Now a 2 and a 3 got left behind. I'm going to multiply them back, and there was still 1 u that didn't partner. Now v to the 8th would be able to bring out 4 of them. Okay, now the only thing, I don't know if we're almost down the home stretch here, there's some tidying that can be done. So I can, before I start trying to break this down, I could simplify the d's. There's 9 on top, 4 on the bottom. I could tidy that up to d to the 5th. So I can make a square root on the top, square root on the bottom, and then it just becomes more of the same. So the only thing was that we could simplify the variables. So we're going to do this again. And now we're going to turn the problem into 64. Do you see there'd be 4 x's left on the top if I slashed it all down? Now, let's split it up into 2. Okay, the top one, you always break it long if you want to do the individual, but I know 64 is 8. I got 4 x's, it would let me bring out 2. On the bottom, I know that is 3. Okay, so I'm going to break this all down. You know, yeah, I guess we should. So the number simplifies here as well. So I'm going to divide, both of these are divisible by 4. So I'm going to have this if I reduce those numbers. Now 9a's on top, 5 on the bottom would leave me 4 up top. Okay, now we can split it into individual square roots. And I've got 2a squared on the top. That's supposed to be a 4. And 5 on the bottom. Okay, the madness just gets crazier and crazier. I think we're toward the end. It's all the same stuff. But all now here, we're just going to simplify this. There's a lot we can simplify with it, all the variables. 18 and 32 can be simplified. Divide them both by 2. Tidy up the p's, there'd be 4 left on top. Tidy up the q, there's 5. Okay, now we split it up, and it's just 2 of the same problems we've already been doing. A little bit more complicated, but that's it. When they break down the top, they get this. Break down the bottom, they get a 4. Okay, try this one on your own if you want to, but I'm going to go for it here. I'm going to tidy up 50 and 72 share a 2. So that's going to be 25 on the top. So I divided them both by 2. Now let's clean up the I don't knows. 5 on top, 4 on the bottom leaves 1 up top. 3 on the top, 1y on the bottom leaves me 2 on the top. Okay, let's split this up now because it's been simplified. Okay, we squared on the top, squared on the bottom. So practice this if you need to, but what's going to happen is 5y comes out, you got an x left over, and a 6 on the bottom. Yeah. Okay, seeing where we're at. We're almost done. Okay. I'm trying to see what the numbers share. And I don't see it. So I'm going to do the letters first here. If I break down the m's, I'm going to have 2 on the top. If I break down the n's, now notice this, we haven't seen this before. If I had 2 on the top and 7 on the bottom, I'm going to have, or 9 on the bottom, I'm going to have 7 left down there. Okay? Now I'm going to break down 48 because I want to reduce it and I'm not seeing. Yeah, they don't share anything. Okay, I got confused by that. So I was thinking we were going to find something to reduce that. So the only thing that reduces are the I don't knows, and I get this. Let's now split this into 2 problems. Okay, so I'm going to break all my numbers down because I had a hard time seeing where this was going to go. And one more time, let me show you the numbers so we'd have. Okay, you don't have to do that. These are m's on top, sorry. Okay, I did this long way just for one last time. So partnering up. I can bring out a 2, and an m. That's going to be 2 times 2, 4. I can bring out 4m. There's a 3 left over. Down here I can partner up a 5. 1, 2, 3. So I can bring out a 5 and 3 n's. And inside the house, a 5 and an n. Don't partner up. Okay, so that's a lot of the same thing just over and over again. The trick is, if you want to reduce underneath the square root, you can, and then you can split it into the 2 individual ones. You can go vice versa between there, whichever is most convenient.